And it's Brian Pead here with Maggie Tuttle. And Maggie, there's something that I've been hearing about lately, which is specialist foster carers. What's all that about? I thought foster carers were just people who took children in, looked after them for a while and then passed them on somewhere else. What on earth is a specialist foster carer?
Money, money, money. Money. And it's mostly advertised in Essex.
Right.
And a specialist foster carer it's possibly the social workers, ex-social workers, but there are a lot of foster carers who are already social workers who are already foster carers. But this is a new thing that came out. I think it was last year it came out, and they get £750 a week plus to look after per child who has learning disabilities.
£750 a week.
Even if they don't have a child for 12 weeks, they can still claim £350 a week.
Well, as a retainer?
Yeah, until such time they've got a child.
And are people who are paying their council tax aware of all this money being spent?
No one is. This is why we need the nation to know of what I said earlier, that there's billions of pounds being made, millions of jobs, new jobs. Look, specialist foster carer to look after children who've got learning disabilities.
And what sort of qualities, Maggie, would a specialist social worker need?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. So
no.
More or less anyone could become one?
Well, yeah, well, mostly this is basically for ex-social workers or social workers.
Well, that's interesting, because there's something else I've been reading, which is clinical social workers.
Oh,
and
God,
what is that about?
Another fiddle in the system, another load of money in yet a kid's life, another part of the army. A clinical social worker. Children who have ADHD, learning disabilities, they need special education.
Right.
I'm told. So on inquiring via the charity, because we have a lot of people in the charity researching, it came out that we asked, first of all, we asked many of the people on the database, do you know what a clinical social worker is? No, nobody knew. No one.
I don't imagine they did.
No. A clinical social worker is supposed to be a medical social worker. To work with children who supposedly has learning disabilities, ADHD. Which brings me to the point, most kids in care are put down as having learning disabilities or ADHD. We also have many children who are moved so many times from this foster, that foster, this foster carer. They keep getting moved. 2 young brothers were moved, I think it was 144 times in their little lives, and they actually sued Essex.
I should think so.
It's in the papers and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How can any child in the care system, in a child's best interest, so joining on is they've got specialist foster carers, clinical social workers. It's all more money in the system. So let's label all these kids as being bloody nuisances. These children in the system are more abused than what a lot of them would be at home. And most children are being taken away on allegations of emotional abuse. What is the system doing to our children? They're emotionally abusing them. There's no stability. There's nothing for these children. Very little contact with the families. Everything is taken away, and then they've got to have all this specialist treatment. Plus the fact all these children in care, again we have this information, a lot of them are being used as for drugs, pharmaceutical drugs.
What do you mean, as guinea pigs?
Yeah, that's right.
So just let's recap for a minute, if we may. You're suggesting, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a lot of children in care who are often wrongly labelled, diagnosed as being ADHD or whatever.
They have to label them to get more jobs.
So it's about funding.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean necessarily that child A, for example, really has ADHD, but they're labelled with it so that they can draw down funding. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Right.
You can have the best little kid in the world,
Yes, yeah.
and it's labelled.
So wrong diagnosis, deliberately you're saying, to draw down funding.
Yeah,
Okay.
and all these psychologists
Yes.
in the system, as we know from one, can't remember his name at the moment, but it was in all the papers, psychologists, some of them don't even see the families, and yet they write their assessments up and things like that. Don't even see, nothing. It's horrendous what's going on for children.
Okay.
And then you've got to remember that foster agency is moving a kid from this foster carer to that foster carer, to this one and to that one. That foster agency is going to get paid every time they're moving the kids around. So of course it's in the interest of the foster agency to keep moving the children around. More money coming in.
So this is about big business and not the interest of the child.
No, it's not big business. It's a multi-billion-pound business.
But not in the interest of the child.
No, no. You see, all these children in care, and I've done a lot of research. Also, I set up many hostels in Hackney years ago, and so I used to be with alcoholics and drug addicts and things, which is something I'm totally against, but it's other people's choosing. But a lot of these homeless people, alcoholics and drug addicts, are from the care system. 49% of people in prison are from the care system. So what is the care system doing? They're controlling, it's called controlling the nation by the children.
And making a lot of money whilst doing it.
They're all getting rich. And it's all jobs for the EU people who want to come in and get a job. Where can you earn £400 or £500 a week in the EU? Where? Tax-free? Nowhere. Get your rent paid and everything.
Right, I understand. So just if we can for a moment look at social workers, what would you like? What sort of changes would you like made to make sure that the social workers are fit for purpose? What sort of changes would you like?
We need social workers to be not 20-year-olds with no families. A lot of social workers are very young girls as well, or young men. What do they know about a family? Half of them probably were not even brought up in a loving family themselves. Social workers need to be thoroughly police checked, and I mean thoroughly police checked, especially all these. There's a good few thousand foreign social workers from Romania, India, Africa. Anyone can buy a diploma and get a job over here.
Right, so picking up on your point, my experience of schools is that very often foreign staff and agency staff are not CRB checked.
No.
So are you suggesting that the possibility is there that social workers from abroad are also not CRB checked? Is that the scandal that's happening in the UK today?
Oh no, it's bigger than that.
Really?
And I would say there's a lot of social workers as well who are very, very involved in the paedophile rings.
Really?
A lot of social workers,
Can you expand on that?
No.
You're not
We're
prepared
still,
to at
no.
this stage. Okay, I understand.
No, we have information, but again, until we've got 101%, then I can only say we are aware that many social workers are involved in child trafficking, paedophilia. I mean, what a better situation. You've got your closed family courts. Closed family courts, there's no judge or jury. I mean, 9 times out of 10, whoever goes in a family court, they come out guilty anyway.
Yes.
There is no way to protect our children in this country from the paedophiles. You can't. There's nowhere to go.
So this trend towards specialist foster carers and clinical social workers, I'm concerned about this term clinical social worker, because it suggests to me that they're going to be meddling in psychiatric diagnosis of children when they're actually unqualified to do that.
Well, they do some sort of a medical test. They go through something, but they're not qualified.
They're not psychologists, are they? They're
No.
not psychiatrists.
No.
They may have had a little bit of extra training in the psychological side of children or the emotional side of it, but they're not actually qualified, are they?
No.
And so they could very often be making false diagnoses or wrong diagnoses, which is going to impact severely on a child's life, not just at the time it's in care, but once the child leaves care for the rest of its life, if it's been wrongly diagnosed.
That's right. And also another good point that we've missed out on, Brian, is children are being taught sex from the age of 4 or 5 in the schools. You might not know of this.
Well,
not
sex
many.
education.
Sex education. I was told that little boys are being taught how to masturbate with a carrot. But it's all there. It's on Children Screaming to Be Heard, the website.
Brilliant.
Emma Clark, who is the founder of Hope and Trust, she's actually spoken in the House of Commons about the children being taught sex. I mean, they're showing videos to these young children. I wrote to Mr. Cameron. I said, Mr. Cameron, what are we supposed to do? Watch children playing sex, having sex, as opposed to playing with toys, learning from their toys? Not an answer. Nothing. You know, he's such an ignorant pig of a man. I only went to a secondary school, but my manners are better than his. I don't ignore people. And as a Prime Minister, he should not do that. Because I've even handed in letters personally to number 10. He still doesn't answer. Ignorant man.
So what would you like done with the social workers and the foster carers? What would you like
So let
done?
me just finish this, please. So you've got the kids being taught sex from 4 or 5 years of age.
Right.
Recently there was, I can't remember the guy's name, one of the MPs, they wanted sex. Children can have sex from the age of 14 now. But anyway, it went out of the window. So what are they doing? All these pedos, which it comes down to when you think about it. Kids being taught sex from 4 to 5 and how to do it and how to masturbate. Now there was a little debate about bringing the sex laws down to the age of 14. But what about the PI? Back in, I don't know too much on this.
Well, the Paedophile Information Exchange, PIE, yes.
Yeah, when they wanted, was it the 60s or the 70s? When they wanted sex with children, sex for children from the age of 5. But it's all sex. We don't know what those social workers are doing. We can't get to those children to ask them. By the safe houses, we will.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much again for today, Maggie. And this is Tuttle TV signing off.